Good morning, YouTube, BookTube, the world, mankind, humanity, the body of Christ, the new creation. I thought I'd make a video since my wife is gone. She left to do errands this morning. Putting away my diary for this morning. I'm on page 61 for the year 2021. And putting it in my diary, put it in my folder. Yeah, I've been writing since 1968. Now, as I've said in past videos, I didn't really start writing every day until about 1975, but there were times between 1968 and 1975 that I did write every day, or I wrote a lot. And of course, back in those days, I lived in Richmond, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I didn't have a home. I didn't have a place I could hang my hat. So, as I've said in past videos, my foster mother had this house, and I would store my diaries in like a trunk, a tin trunk, and I put it under a house. And every time I would write something, I would crawl underneath the house and put it in this trunk that was tin, like aluminum, beat up old kind of trunk, and I would store it in there. Because I didn't have, but then my foster mother, my foster mother, she threw me out when I was in the 11th grade. And when I was in the 12th grade, I had another foster family. I knew this guy in high school who eventually he dropped out of high school and went to alternative schools. I wound up living with him. And then when I finished 12th grade, my second foster family said, well, by then I was a Christian. That's around 1970. And I was going to a small junior college. And I was going to a Baptist church. I had become a Christian. And somebody in church said, well, we have a single guy, and said, you can come live with me. I have a bedroom, extra bedroom. So I lived with him after high school, and I went to junior college. And yeah, I don't know where I lived after that. I have to get my timeline. Anyway, to make a long story short, I didn't write every day until about 1975. And now I write. I've been married going on 41 years, and I've been writing every single day. Writing down the flow of existence, the death flow. So yeah, I'm on page 61 for the year 2021. Oh, I just dropped my diary, wait a minute. So yeah, and then I started on page 62 for the year 2021. Today is January the 19th, 2021. It's 10:08 in the morning here in West Michigan. It's supposed to snow this afternoon. It hasn't been really a bad winter. So I'm thankful for that, especially during this COVID-19 plague that's raging through the United States and through the country. And 400,000 people have died in the United States. And people say it's just fake news. I don't know. Anyway, this video is basically what I'm reading right now this morning here on a Tuesday morning. I've been reading through the book of Psalms using Denis and the Carthusian's Commentary in the Davidic Psalms. This is a translation and introduction by Andrew M. Greenwell. I got this a month ago or 2 months ago. This is a projected 6-volume translation of Denis the Carthusian, who lived from 1402 and he died in 1471. Extensive commentary on the Psalms, the first ever translation of this work into English since Denis wrote it in the 1430s. Of more than a mere historical interest, this translation is accompanied by helpful footnotes, is intended to encourage and increase knowledge of the Psalms, and to be used as an aid to meditation and reflection. Written at the cusp between scholasticism and modern devotion, or devotion moderna, the commentary bridges both spiritual movements seeking to affirm foothold in both intensely scriptural and personal, urging perfection in the Christian manner of living, or conversio. The commentary is also theologically rigorous, readily grasping the rational, guiding the hand of St. Thomas Aquinas, happily embracing the mysticism of Pseudo-Dionysius. Pope Eugene IV from 1383 to 1447 is reputed to have said upon reading the Carthusian's works, "May Mother Church rejoice that she has such a son." Anyway, I'm really enjoying this. As you know, I'm really into the Carthusians. So I'm also reading along with this commentary that I've shown. This is by Plumer. He lived in the 19th century. It says here this was first published in 1867. He was a Southern minister. I don't know if he was a theologian. You could say he was a theologian, I suppose. But it's a great commentary, published by Banner of Truth. So I've been reading that, and I thought what I would do is show you other books on the Psalms. As I have said, that the churches that we have attended are psalm singing churches. They sing the Psalms going back to the Reformation and John Calvin and the Geneva Psalter. And you won't find in the churches that we have attended Christian rock bands or contemporary music. You just won't find that in conservative, Calvinistic, Reformed churches. They tend to be psalm singing or singing theologically sound hymns, not just man-centered or Armenian or heretical kind of songs. So I wanted to mention, I've shown you this on the Psalms, the Reformation commentary on Psalms. This is volume 7 in the Old Testament series. This is Psalms 1 through 72. I have the rest of the volume downstairs, which is Psalms 73 to 150. So this is a good thing on the Psalms. Also, this book, Calvin's Theology of the Psalms, is a good reference. I have Calvin's commentaries down the lower level. This is a 3-volume, and his commentaries on the Bible, his commentaries on the Psalms are in 3 volumes, and this is volume 4 of his commentaries, which I think is 22 volumes. I bought Calvin's commentaries when we were at Reformed Bible College in Grand Rapids back in the late 70s. So I got this out to read along with Denis and the Carthusian on the Psalms of David. And I got this out to look at. I've read this off and on for years. This came out in 2007. This is published by Baker Academic. It's a good reference on the Psalms. And this is a 3-volume work on the Psalms called The Treasury of David by the great English Baptist preacher C.H. Spurgeon. This is The Treasury of David. It's a 3-volume work. This is volume 1, which covers Psalms 1 to Psalm 57. And one thing I like about The Treasury of David, that C.H. Spurgeon, he has an exposition of the Psalms, and then he has explanatory notes and quaint sayings, where he quotes the old writers, the Puritans. He quotes like Thomas Adams, who was a Puritan, 1614. He quotes Martin Luther, who 1536 to 1546. He quotes Thomas à Kempis here. I have no rest but in a nook with the book. He quotes Sir Richard Baker. I have a book by Sir Richard Baker down the lower level on the Psalms. He quotes all these old writers, Puritans. He quotes John Trapp, who was another Puritan commentator. So he quotes from the old writers, and when they comment or refer to one of the Psalms of David. So I first came across the Treasury of David many years ago. I was living on a commune up in Northern California, and they had a big, huge house. They had a kitchen, and it had a big not a living room, but an area where people could gather together for Bible studies. And they had a library. And the library belonged to one of the fellows who had been running this big, huge commune. It was like a farm. It had chickens, it had a cow. No, it didn't have a cow. It had goats, it had sheep. It had all kinds of farm animals. And it had a big garden. And 3 guys ran it, this commune, lived there, and they were moving. They were leaving and moving back down to the San Francisco Bay Area. And they needed someone to watch over the animals until another group of people would take over this commune, this big farm. And I went up there for 3 months, and I lived up there for 3 months. I left eventually because I won't go into the reason why I left. But before the guys left, one of the guys had a library. And in that library that was still in the bunkhouse, or not the bunkhouse, but the main house, I would go there and I would sit on the couch, and it was the Treasury of David. And at that time, I was an Armenian, charismatic, kind of Baptist kind of guy. But when I read the Treasury of David, I was really intrigued by it, and I would read it and read it. And of course, eventually, the guy's library he took back with him down to the Bay Area. But many years later, well, several years later, I bought it. I bought my own set there in San Francisco Bay Area. I looked at it today. It cost me $40 for a 3-volume set. I've had this for many years, and it's a good reference if you want to study the Psalms. This came out, my set, in 1974. So this is a good set. C.H. Spurgeon, you can buy his sermons. They're like 40 volumes of his sermons. I have a CD-ROM of the works of C.H. Spurgeon on CD-ROM, his complete works, which is kind of fascinating that you can look at all C.H. Spurgeon's sermons, which cover at least 30 volumes on CD-ROM. Plus he wrote a lot of other little shorter books. But C.H. Spurgeon is a really famous Baptist Calvinistic minister. And but his Treasury of David is really worth having if you're into the Psalms. So you read Denis and the Carthusian, you read Plumer, you read the Reformation, you read John Calvin, and that's what I'm doing this morning when I'm reading the Psalms. This morning I'm on Psalm 15, which reads, "Preserve me, O God, for in you I put my trust." No, that's not. That's Psalm 16. Psalm 15, "Lord, who may abide in your tabernacle? Who may dwell in your holy hill? He who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. He who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. But he honors those who fear the Lord. He who swears to his own hurt and does not change. He who does not put out his money at usury, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be moved." So that's what I'm reading this morning. Now, I haven't really... I'm a mood reader, and I have to be in a certain mood to read things. I have to have a certain appetite. And lately, I just been reading my Christian books. Of course, over the weekend, we watched the professional football playoffs. But when I could read something that was not Christian, I've been rereading this book I showed, Emerson Among the Eccentrics, a group portrait by Carlos Baker. I've been rereading this. I have this by my to-be-read pile over there. Also, I've been looking at these Emerson's journals from 1820 to 1842, from 1841 to 1877. I've been looking at these as I've been reading about Emerson and his eccentrics. He's talking about like Margaret Fuller, Henry Thoreau, Theodore Parker. These are all transcendentalists. Hawthorne, people like the Alcotts, people of his circle there in Concord, Massachusetts. So that's what I've been looking at. And when I'm not looking at those books or reading my Christian books, I write in my diary, I talk to my wife, I mess with the computer, I watch BookTube, sometimes I just sit and doze and and the days just go by. I haven't really gone to any thrift stores. I think about it, but I'm kind of like in one of those moods that I just want to hunker down at home. I don't like driving in snow or bad weather. So that's what I'm doing. So this is a Tuesday. It's the 19th. Tomorrow is the 20th. I'm supposed to get books in the mail maybe this week. I have a book by James Elway, White Jazz. I have a book on early American politics. I have a book by a medieval spiritual writer on the life of Christ, and who knows what else I'll get in the mail. So I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you're having a good new week. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the new subscribers, and do pray during this COVID-19 plague that you're not sick. Do pray that you just have a good reading week, and until next time, I can't think else to write or say. No. So until next time, bye.